Yes, absolutely. The administrative vice president, as you said, the role's vague. But Brian, I think, summed it up greatly and said it's the molder of the Senate. This structural change that we want to implement is very much something that falls under this role as administrative vice president, an internal thing. And I want to hold meetings, and I want to hold town hall meetings if we have to. I want to hold multiple meetings with students and with my senators to try to figure out what input and the best way to implement this plan that we have. And you can also find more information about that on our new website that we just launched.
Thank you. Andrew, you will now be asked to come.
All right. The role of the administrative vice president is a little vague right now. Just keep the senators in check, but beyond that, there's not much guidance given. Can you talk about some specific goals you have that might fall outside of the specific guidelines of your position that will make sure that you are a productive member of the board?
Definitely. I won't bore everyone with going back over my communication goals, but that's a significant part of it. Really focusing on how we communicate between SGA and the student body to make sure that the student body understands what SGA is doing and that they have an opportunity to come in and voice their opinions if they'd like to. And then the second thing that I'd really like to do is use the broadness of the administrative vice president to be able to really be the right-hand man of the president. I think that when you look at the executive vice president and the financial vice president, they already have so much of their time committed to very, very specific things that they have to do, and it really doesn't leave them with too many opportunities to assist the president in things like meeting with administrators or coordinating bigger projects that don't involve their positions. So I'd really like to focus the position on being Michael's right-hand man and dealing with initiatives that don't fall under a specific position.
I do. You mentioned as being Michael, the president's right-hand man, you would help assist with bigger projects. Do you have any specific ideas of what those bigger projects might be? And regardless, can you tell us a little bit about why you're qualified to be spearheading these big projects?
I think one big project that is definitely going to come up next year, I don't know exactly what the final form of it will be, is the closing of the Grand Overpass is going to present a ton of specific issues. And we're going to need to come up with a comprehensive plan to deal with that and to make sure that students' needs are met. And I think that's going to be a huge thing that's going to require a lot of man hours and a lot of attention. And so I think that would be a perfect example of something that I would help spearhead and take on with the broadness of my role. And then as part of that, I think that in terms of experience, I spent a lot of time this year working with other senators on the diversity proposals, which were an equally vast and wide-reaching pieces of legislation and work. And I really learned a lot working on that, not just the successes of it, but also where it failed and where we could do better next time. And I think that that will be invaluable experience, and the time that I spent on that will really help.
Thank you. Eli, you now have a chance to ask Andrew 30 seconds.
Okay. Andrew, your presidential candidate was quoted in the paper emphasizing your ticket's connections to administrators. What kind of connections do you feel that you personally have? And we all know you're very close with multiple administrators here at SLU. What kind of connections do you have with the students here that would qualify for this position?
Definitely. I've been a member of a few different CSOs. I was a member of Club Field Hockey when I first got here. That was my biggest CSO involvement. But really my involvement in SLU has been outside of the CSO structure. My first 2 years here, I was more of that apathetic student that people always talk about that isn't involved in much. I just hung out on my floor in Greece. I didn't really do much outside of that, and I still do a lot of those things. So I don't necessarily have a laundry list of CSOs that I'm technically a member of that skip the meetings, but I really get involved in the things that actually happen at SLU, and I hang out in the BSC constantly. And I'm an average member of the student body, I think. I'm not Sam Howard. I don't have that many Facebook friends. But I think that where my experience lies and what will really help is that I know how to connect with the student that I was as a freshman and a sophomore, where I honestly wasn't that involved. And those are the people that we really need to connect with.
Thank you. Andrew, you now have 30 seconds for the question.
Yes. This question kind of alludes back to actually a question that Mike asked in the presidential debate about the restructuring. And Brian answered that it wouldn't take away from other initiatives because it could happen quickly at the beginning. But since the remedy ticket doesn't have the 35 Senate votes on its slate necessary to pass a constitutional amendment, how would you work as Administrative Vice President to lobby and get that legislation passed in a timely fashion so that it wouldn't take away from other endeavors?
Great question. I'm willing to spend however much time I need to get this passed. I will work with all senators, whether they're from my ticket if elected or from the other ticket if elected, to try to get them to come on board and realize where we're coming from. We talked to the BSA the other day. They felt that our current structure didn't work and didn't promote diversity. And I want to work with everyone that I need to work with to do this. Now, as far as the time aspect is concerned, again, I'm willing to spend as much time as I need on this, but it's not going to detract from the time that I will spend on all the other issues that I've outlined in my platform and the issues that I want to accomplish as Administrative Vice President.
Thank you very much. That concludes our questioning for the Administrative Vice President. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Please fill out the questions and hands the paper into the commission. I'd like to thank the panel for being here